pretty well known for playing things like the Camille support, right? So now we're seeing a few more focuses for Wadid. He's had a lot of success when he's able to make these plays on these playmaking supports. Thresh, Alistair, Rakan, all very much comfort picks towards Wadid.
Yeah, of course, and that Jarvan as well, comfort pick for Foxy. Both Foxy and Wadid have a 50% win ratio on their respective champions thus far. Pridestalker, of course, has the possibility of taking this Jarvan in the jungle. We'll see if that pans out. Safe Oriana here for Caps.
I don't suppose you remember the last time ROCCAT played Jarvan into Fnatic to you, quick shot?
There was a pretty unlucky number involved.
That was indeed a pretty unlucky number.
What happened with 13? Because I remember it being relevant.
I believe it was the number of deaths that Foxy had in their Game 2 victory over Fnatic. So maybe it was unlucky for some, but it certainly wasn't for him, as they were able to get themselves the win. As we see a couple more picks come out from Fnatic.
Yeah, I remember that 0-13 game. But as we heard in that pre-game video, Fnatic kind of outdid themselves. For anybody else that remembers it, they dilly-dallied and dawdled and went sightseeing on the Rift. It was a good-looking Rift, but it allowed ROCCAT the opportunity to get into that late game, win a fight, and then quite literally win the game. So Fnatic definitely not going to be looking to do the same. The Lovers locked into the bottom lane. Hyanin, once again, going to get Xayah. Second most played champion in the split. This will be the 5th time he's played her.
And now you'll start to see ROCCAT focus in on that bottom lane. AD carry and support still left to be chosen for Fnatic. You would assume that the Gragas is in the jungle and the Nart is in the top lane. Cho'Gath yet to be prioritized by either team. Looks like that teams have decided that its priority is not as valuable. They don't want to put that much focus on it, but there's still room for ROCCAT to pick it up later on in the draft. But given that they do see a Gnar, I think they're a little bit hesitant. I think that they prefer to go for something more like a Rumble that can hold its own during the laning phase.
Okay, so let's see what happens. Galio, LeBlanc taken away from phase 2 bans on Fnatic. Both supports Thresh and Alistair for ROCCAT. First pick priority. Where will it go for ROCCAT? Kind of that safe lock-in to Leah for Betsy. Adding another game played. Second time on the champion. Betsy's played a lot of champions this split, but hasn't necessarily found huge success on many of them. You know, like that signature pick that Swain and Vladimir of splits gone by.
Exactly that. It does feel like that he's trying to find his form, and right now he's trying to build with the composition that is very much team fighting right now. Talia, her laning phase isn't super dominant, but she's very much about pushing and roaming early on into the game, where she transitions nicely into these late game team fights, where she does have very solid scaling. Fnatic, they're going to round themselves out with a very solid bot lane. Tristana has been a rising AD carry all across the world. It does extremely well into champions like Kalista and Xayah, and it just gives you that extra bit of lane power. When you pair it with a Braum, you have a very well-rounded, not only teamfight composition from Fnatic, but the ability to play 1-4 later in the game as well.
All right, lots of options available to them, and the team comp is rounded out with kind of a Pridestalker special. The Kha'Zix, definitely one of the players in EU LCS that prefers those assassin, those damage dealer type junglers. What do you think of that as the final pick here for ROCCAT to round out the team composition?
I think it's a little bit risky, because when you look at the composition that Fnatic have drafted, it's going to be extremely difficult for Kha'Zix to really get involved in a lot of these fights. There's so many disengaged tools like the Braum and the Gragas. There's a lot of kiting and backline threat with the Gnar. And sure, if you dive onto the Oriana, you have that potential, but as long as Ari sticks with the rest of her team, I feel like that Kha'Zix is really going to struggle. And especially with the recent Duskblade nerfs, I wonder whether or not he will still prioritize that, see if he can get himself a bit of extra burst and shut down some of these big carries for Fnatic.
Vedius, is it fair to say that mid-game, there's some tools and some power and a window of opportunity here for ROCCAT?
It's definitely the case. I can completely agree with that. 2 items, very, very good. I think Xayah also has really strong late-game threat, but the composition seems a little mix match there for ROCCAT, and I'm interested to see where they put their focus. I think Pridestalker should try and invest a lot of early ganks top, see if he can get Foxy ahead of Soaz in this very integral match.
Well, let's see how well ROCCAT can do. They have been the Fnatic Slayers in 2017, picked themselves up 2 series wins. And ROCCAT, you know, they tend to play to the level of their opponents, right? This is a squad that has taken off a ton of games against top-of-the-table squads in EU, but then lost to NIP. So they're like a mirror team, right? They mirror the power levels of their opponents.
That is a very apt description, Quickshot. I completely agree with you. And it always makes you wonder, will it be Superstar ROCCAT appearing today, or will it be a fast 2-0 going over in favor of Fnatic? And I'm sure the Fnatic fans would love to see a convincing 2-0 as their dominance continues throughout the split. But also, it is ROCCAT's fault that there is a blemish on that 9-1 record for Fnatic this split so far. So I'm sure Fnatic would love to get themselves a bit of vengeance.
Hey, we've heard that from all the players. We know that for Fnatic, they want to continue picking up series wins to guarantee that first place seed. If you are a member of the G2 army, you are now supporting ROCCAT. Because ROCCAT need to take down Fnatic. The odds of them doing it more likely than ninjas in pajamas. And that is a window for G2 to then beat Fnatic next week, and that's how G2 get in there.
Technically, NIP beat ROCCAT, and therefore NIP is greater than ROCCAT, right?
By transitive properties. By transitive properties. So we set the scene for what is at stake here. ROCCAT, of course, also they're playing for a playoff spot, much like the spring split. They're chasing misfits. And for ROCCAT, it's about picking up series wins. So let's see if they can start. No real surprises in terms of summoner spells, itemization. Not as many refillable potions as I feel I've seen quite a lot of in recent weeks of ADS, but some early shenanigans from ROCCAT.
So ROCCAT, they're just trying to invade, interfere with this Raptor start, see if they can deny some of the experience from ROCCAT. But Fnatic, they put that early ward in the river, they read the play, no experience will be lost, and Brox's early start will be absolutely fine, while Pride Stalker continues on his top side as well. So nothing too significant happening in this early game. The laners will return to their standard matchups. And now the laning phase will commence.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the laning phase. Feels to me like there are some tools available for Betsy early on into Orianna, for Xayah, Rakan into Tristan Braum. What do you think here?
You gotta be mindful of the level 2 spike in the bottom lane. The thing about Xayah and Rakan is they always love to get in your face as often as they can, regardless of the bottom lane. Teams will always try and force that play, because if you can get that early trade, it gives you so much more pressure in the 2 versus 2 matchup. But especially for Hyeonin and Wadid, these guys love to try and build their own leads. So the moment they hit that level advantage, I wouldn't be surprised if they try and force something, but smart from Reckless and Jez's to get as much of a push as possible so they don't fall behind in terms of level.
I mean, Wadid has kind of been the tip of the spear for ROCCAT all split long. And when he makes plays that look good, it works in their favor. Hyeonin calls back the blades. Reckless and Jez's take a lot of damage, and you know what, if ROCCAT are saying, we agree with this, let's enable Hyeonin, let's lead with Wadid, and maybe pull Betsy down with that Weaver's Wall. There's a lot of tools for parties in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I'd love to see Betsy roaming around the map. You can see very early on, Betsy, he's just pushing in mid, keeping this Orianna under tower as much as possible. And that's typically what you want to do on the Taliyah. Just push as much as possible, build yourself a slight farm advantage if you can. And you're not really about trying to win the 1 versus 1. You're very much about winning side lanes and then having more value in team fights a little bit later into the game with the amount of zone control and damage that you can provide, along with the surprising amount of slipperiness a lot of people don't fully respect coming out from Taliyah.
Yeah, very difficult to catch here. The mobility on that rock surfing helps out. Let's take a look at this little zoning on the bottom. I was looking at Broxer. He just kind of, you know, walked past the top of your screen. But available for counterplay if anything were to happen, but it doesn't seem to be the case, as Pride Stalker is still farming the jungle. So first full clears seem to be wrapping up. Let's see where the gank opportunities are as a seismic shove catches caps. And always when I say gank opportunity, you have to look at vision. ROCCAT very well defended in the river in the bottom lane. Even got a defensive ward in the tri-bush up top, so definitely fearing Broxer's early game impact, which is something Broxer's done exceptionally well all split.
Yes, I think that Broxer is a player that he's either going to snowball the early game or he's going to have a huge amount of mid to late game value. And playing on the Gragas, he has the option to try and snowball lanes, but when you look at the composition, there's no real reliance on him to try and get caps going in the early game. He doesn't need to get an early lead for Reckless, and he knows that Soaz in the top lane should hold perfectly fine during the laning phase. The main reason why this early vision investment bot side was there from ROCCAT was because they knew they would be pushing this Braum and Trist underneath the tower. So they wanted to make sure that there was that element of safety in the event that Fnatic would try and punish them overextending.
Yeah, it's so important as well because Broxer has got a 88% first blood participation for the Fnatic squad. He enables it. That's why you see Elise banned against him almost every game. He's just phenomenal on that champion. He's picked up 16 first bloods this year. I'll find out how many in the summer split in just a moment.
Is that king-worthy, Trevor?
The problem is the title has been assigned.
It has.
It has, you know, and Brox is challenging for the title. We'll see whether or not he can steal that one away from Jankos, because Brox is definitely in the contention for all pro team #1 jungler.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring that up, because I was having a chat with Dracos about this, and we were thinking, like, possible MVPs, possible strong players, and there were a lot of debate around many of the players from Fnatic, because right now they do seem to be the best performing team in Europe. They have a lot of strong individuals, and one of the interesting ones that came up in our discussion was Jez's as a bit of a gank happens up top lane.
All right, Soaz is going to crunch down. Foxy flashes to safety, and the gank ends. So please continue with your story.
But the reason why I thought this was quite interesting was because Dracos made a very valuable point. When was the last time you ever watched a Fnatic game and thought Jez is lost in that game?
Not for a while, not for a long time, and I can't think of any other example. Remember we said the party in the bottom lane, teleport's available for Fox if he wants to join. First blood secured onto Reckless. ROCCAT denied that opportunity. Jesus is the next target, he's tagged up, down to 100 HP. Brightstalker flashes for the fear taste, and that's a double kill to ROCCAT.
So ROCCAT trying to shut down this bottom lane of Fnatic, utilizing the roaming power that Betsy has on this Taliyah. I love the fact that they did it immediately at level 6. We talked so much about the vision from ROCCAT, where they were set up defensively first, but then they turned it into aggressive vision. Look at these red wards that are littered across the entrances of Fnatic's jungle that allowed this roam to happen. No vision from Fnatic. They didn't see this coming until it was too late. Jez's, he didn't flash in front of the wall to try and deny it. They were just left to the slaughter as 4 members of ROCCAT slowly chipped them away.
Exceptionally well coordinated dive by ROCCAT. Timing the ultimates well. Brightstalker and Betsy come in, and you know, right at the beginning of the day, Vedius, I said ROCCAT mirror the level of their opponents. If we look at the win-loss records for ROCCAT against teams in the top half of the table, or the top 6 playoff teams expected, there's 7 wins and 10 losses. But against bottom tier teams, there are 3 wins and 9 losses. It's mind-boggling that ROCCAT play better against good teams and worse against worse teams.
It's like that old adage where if you have a challenger play against a bronze player, you never know what they're going to do. You can't understand what they're thinking, and you show them so much respect that you end up outplaying yourself. And perhaps that's in a similar instance for ROCCAT. Maybe they just overestimate their opponents, beneath them, and that ends up giving them advantages which they don't anticipate, and they end up getting punished for it. But against top teams, they always show this level of respect. They always are thinking about the next step, and it allows them to make these great roams and great plays like they're trying to set up right now.
Yeah, a lot of the enabling the bottom lane, something that ROCCAT are leaning on. It's a 2,000 gold lead already, thanks to first blood, first tower blood, second blood as well. Now they've gone for that invade into the jungle, stealing away the red buff, and for ROCCAT, this is a great early game. I am gonna put my little like tinfoil hat on and say kind of the team comp feels like it should get advantages early.
Yes, you definitely want to be pushing your advantage early on into the game. The thing about Kha'Zix is once he hits the level 5, 6, 7 mark, that's where he can be super active on the map, while Gragas can match it. He's mainly a utility bot that relies on the success of his laners. Now, what Fnatic are anticipating is the swap from ROCCAT, because they've already taken down the bottom tower. They now want to send their 2v2 lane into Soaz, who has the pressure advantage over Faxi, and Faxi will hang around the bot side and just soak up as much of the farm as possible. As long as ROCCAT can take this top tier 1 faster than they lose their bottom tier 1, another advantage gained over towards ROCCAT.
ROCCAT need to keep pushing those advantages. Don't slack off. You know, you never want to go up against Gnar, Gragas, Orianna, Tristana in the late game. Nobody wants to deal with that.
But you have to remember that this late game for ROCCAT isn't terrible. You still, as long as you go full tank on Faxi, should be fine. As we see a bit of a TP play top.
Ooh, flash engage and dash out. I'm not quite sure. That was interrupting the teleport. That means Soaz is not available for backup. Where's the minimap? The wall falls short. Ran out of funding apparently as Betsy couldn't complete it. Glacial Fissure comes down and buys a few seconds. While all that's going on, knock under the tower. Hjarn's able to flash to safety. He gets out of range of that wallop. All right, Soaz defends his tower, and ROCCAT pick up the 3rd kill.
A lot of summoner spells being burnt from both sides, but it's ROCCAT that end up coming out on top. They get another kill down onto Jez's, whose flash was not yet available from the previous gank. And I want to give so much props to Betsy. He is responding to these plays that ROCCAT is setting up for themselves so quickly. He always has the push in mid. He always has his ulti ready, but now Wadid may be in some serious trouble.
Wow, this is only the second time we've seen Betsy on this champion. Wadid gets knocked over to the side. Caps coming in, holds onto the shockwave as the teleport's being channeled here from Foxy. That's a good feather storm from Hyanan to dodge the damage. Caps gets the first kill of the fight here for Fnatic. Root catches 2, but Foxy's able to escape with his life. Oh, that was such a good play from Caps, autoing the blast code and sending Wadid flying.
And this was the first instance of a big misplay from ROCCAT, because while Reckless and Jezus were forced back, Hyanan and Wadid chose to stick around in the top lane. They did not reset. There was no gold that they were able to pick up because all they did was force Soaz back. So because ROCCAT basically reset the map, it allowed Fnatic to match them, and now they have the numbers advantage top lane.
All right, so tower under pressure here. Where's the support? No Weaver's Wall for Betsy, no teleport for Foxy. You saw those used a few moments ago. And Vedes, you talk about resets. Despite losing that pressure in the top lane, look at the mini-map. ROCCAT still have a lot of vision inside Fnatic's jungle, so they can reset their play, reset their direction, where they want to go, which lane they want to prioritize, and make very informed decisions.
Well, what ROCCAT realize right now is that they actually can't see any members of Fnatic, so they're thinking their top lane, because you can see triple control ward in the river for Fnatic. This is complete darkness for ROCCAT right now, and because of all the vision they have across the map, they just have to, through a process of elimination, determine, right, there is danger topside, we cannot overextend, but I feel like they're ignoring it right now.
Well, I don't really know if that's overextending, but Hyanan gets caught out. Remember, he flashed earlier from that shockwave and featherstorm combo. A lot of damage coming down. Hyanan's caught to stun onto Wadid. The Fnatic faithful in Berlin go mad, and Reckless gets a double.
We talked so much about the vision and how you have to respect the fact that you can't see Fnatic, but look at Pride Stalker.
All right, fancies his chances, gets the flash out of Reckless. That's very important. Threaded volleys tagging along the back end of Boxer. Pride Stalker gets the isolated damage down onto Jezus. The Unbreakables blocking some. Pride Stalker flashes for the kill. Betsy not going to chase further, and man, Betsy's Talia this game is fantastic.
And I feel like the lack of mana there on Reckless allowed Pride Stalker to go as aggressively as he wanted. He saw that there were no disengage tools left, so many ultis would be used to get that 2 versus 2 kill. They felt confident enough that they could win that 2 versus 2, and if Betsy was just able to land that knockback, he could have actually turned this back in his favor. So here, look, again, they have no vision of where the jungler is or even where the Gnar is. So I feel like them overstepping was just a big misplay. They should have respected more the possible positioning of Fnatic, and they end up losing 2 members. But the crucial part here is, look, no mana for Reckless. It's super dangerous for him to be this close to a tower, and he doesn't respect the burst power of Pride Stalker either. So Reckless, he's forced to flash straight away. And Betsy's also pretty strong at this point in the game, so they can just keep on chasing. And right there, he can't quite get the knockback, so it becomes a little harder to get the kill, but they end up getting it anyway, and they get their tower in topside, which is what they wanted overall.
There's 3 kills to 4 in favor of ROCCAT. 2 towers to 0 in favor of ROCCAT, and a 2,000 gold lead. And you know, coming into today's games, when we were prepping for this match and researching, one of the big points that we had was Betsy just kind of sucks in lane. He's not super great in the 1v1, has struggled a lot this split. So what I love about this game is Betsy may have also realized this and went, screw it, I'll just use my ulti and go bot lane and top lane on cooldown and just win the game from the side lanes. And it seems to be working.
It's all well and good, Caps, when you can say I shouldn't have any problems against Betsy. And I'm sure that becomes even easier when he's not in your lane. But I'm sure that your side laners don't appreciate the fact that they don't have their mid laner when he shows up and is making all these great plays and has now been involved in every single one of ROCCAT's kills.
Yeah, the cost is, of course, a lot of CS. Advantages for all of the solo, all of the laners, rather, for Fnatic. So as Caps and Reckless being up. And I think that CSing is definitely keeping that gold lead close. All right, Shockwave is going to tag Betsy down. Caps will be happy with that one. No further follow-up on the seismic shove or anything else from Jezus to chase it down.
Very close, though. If Reckless was slightly closer to Betsy, he definitely would have lost his life, but they could very well lose their tower now. It's already low after all the roaming that Betsy has done, and with 4 members of Fnatic and no side lane turrets left to get, there's nothing that ROCCAT can really do to answer.
All right, Fnatic not going down without a fight. They secure their first tower of the game. It's a crucial one, mid-lane tower.
And now I want to see some investment from ROCCAT into this Rift Herald. You can already see a few pings coming down, but if they want to be able to take that mid tower of their own, they're going to need something a little bit extra in order to break through, because there is a lot of wave clear on the side of Fnatic that will stymie the push that ROCCAT tried to set up for themselves.
Okay, ROCCAT, they're onto the Herald. I'm looking at what can Fnatic do to challenge. His teleport's available and both top laners are split up. But Fnatic maybe just a little late to this party. The burst damage is coming out. No, Fnatic are here just in time. The barrel splits up ROCCAT. They're caught in the pit. Ulti comes out from Hyun and he's running for his life. Fnatic remain grouped up. Soaz is channeled on the back end, and the Rift Herald is gift wrapped for Fnatic. Tower in the top lane going low. Soaz's Boomerang Blade will not find anyone, but the explosive charge sidesteps. Soaz continues to take tower damage, forced to flash away.
Oh!
Reckless isolated by Bridestalker.
ROCCAT, they're able to get themselves a return kill because Fnatic stayed too long, and now Soaz is in trouble.
What dude's going for the solo kill, and he gets it! Nope, there's a support from Hyun. Jesus is caught out as well, and Fnatic are completely undone.
ROCCAT find so many great picks onto Fnatic. But arguably, this can still be a big advantage gain for Fnatic because they denied the Rift Herald from ROCCAT. It is still very difficult for them to push onto that mid-tier 1. And as long as Fnatic hold on to it, the number of options for playmaking becomes limited for ROCCAT as the game progresses. Regardless of that, they still hold a very strong gold lead. And let's just see, like, the problem you have is you have 3 members cramped into this little pit, a flanking TP from Fnatic as well. And there's no reliable way for ROCCAT to get a good fight here, even with the TP and Betsy coming in from behind. The mistake from Fnatic is they think they can get these kills. They do not respect the damage output from Bridestalker, especially onto an isolated target. So when Reckless comes underneath the tower, and Soaz is already taking all these tower shots, they do not expect that amount of burst to come out from both Yana and Bridestalker. Remember, the feathers were already set up thanks to Soaz earlier on. So that ends up in a cheeky kill. And then Wadid goes, haha, I am here.
Everybody started looking and talking about this series, looking at Reckless, looking at Fnatic, talking about the fact they lost to ROCCAT. And let's be frank, let's be 100% honest, we were kind of not expecting ROCCAT to be able to win this.
I knew that they're the Kingslayers for a reason.
But 20 minutes in, nearly, ROCCAT still have a gold lead. They have a fairly fed Bridestalker. This will be an uncontested Mountain Drake. I mean, you have to start to believe that ROCCAT have the tools to win game number 1.
And the most important thing, ooh, Fancy.
All right, manages to escape. The flag, drag, and flash to safety.
To me, the most important thing to recognize here as well is, while Fnatic have made a few mistakes here and there, the majority of these leads have been built from ROCCAT's own proactivity. They have been the ones trying to make stuff happen. But Fnatic, they are doing what they can to answer. They still are a smart team, and they are getting themselves some essence of control across the map.
Tower trade, though, and we're well and truly into the mid-game. That gold lead that was substantial 10 minutes ago, less substantial now. Great verbiage, Trevor. That really did not do a lot. But look at the itemization, because I feel like Bridestalker's about to complete the Dusk Blade of Drakthar.
He has, and we are on patch 7.15, so it did receive a few nerfs. The slow, gone. Ranged champions, bit of a damage nerf, but for melee, more or less the same. A little weaker, but more or less the same. So remember that burst that you saw from Bridestalker earlier?
Yeah?
Yeah, it's going to be worse now. It's going to be a lot worse, especially after he ulties. He comes out from the unseen, and he will obliterate you.
The synergy of the Duskblade and Bridestalker's ultimate is just fantastic.
It is.
Really, really works well. It's a pity that cooldown is just so high. I'm not gonna lie, I was a dirty Duskblade solo queue abuser. I admit it. I also used Black Cleaver when it was OP back in the day. I admit it, I'm not ashamed.
You're a Darius main, weren't
you? Get that LP. No, Misfortune,
yes.
triple Black Cleaver.
Yes,
that was the way to go.
The classic.
Works equally as effective even now on 7.15.
It does.
At least in my elo. But taking a look at the minimap again, we're 20 minutes in. Where do ROCCAT go next, Vedius? Because now they've got some big item spikes. Essence Reaver, Black Cleaver for Foxy.
Yeah.
Working his way towards some tanky items now.
things become hard for ROCCAT now because their next big goal is to try and take that mid-tier 1. But as we talked about, there's a lot of wave clear on the side of Fnatic. They have the Orianna, they have the Tristana, you even have a Braum shield that can soak up a lot of like the poke and the Talia damage so that you can get to the minion wave first and you can wipe it out before it even gets to the tower. So they were a little reliant on getting that Rift Tower, and now that it's gone, their options kind of become limited, especially with the side wave control that Fnatic is setting up for themselves. And what it comes down to is you need strong lane assignments coming out from the side of ROCCAT, but they're hesitant. Because if they put Hyanan in mid, it is super easy for Fnatic to just walk on and force an engage 5v5 in the lane with the Gragas and the Gnar with a potential flank. So I feel like the next best option for them is to start playing around the Baron. Okay. Start getting full vision control. They know they're much stronger right now with the items that they've picked up. And force Fnatic to come to you so that you can get a fight before Fnatic is in a prime position to really challenge you.
So I've learned over the years, in order to play around Baron, you kind of want to push that mid lane. Ideally, you want the tower to be down as well. You can see ROCCAT, they're grouped up. They're going to force this teleport. Caps is the target. Defensive moves there from Wadid to get out of the shockwave. ROCCAT easily pick up a kill, although it took a couple of ultimates and a teleport. Can they commit to the Baron?
It's definitely risky. The TP is available for Soaz, and there's a control ward ready and waiting for Fnatic to get the flank.
Oh, the Narbar is about to go mega. Soaz can teleport in. Hasn't pulled the trigger yet. We'll be able to get this 3,000 HP on Baron.
Fighting.
It might be too late. Baron's down to 2,000. Soaz gets the boomerang.
Price Stalker, what are you doing?
Price Stalker, Void Assault. He's looking for the tag. Almost gets chunked down by Soaz. Now the damage on return. Hyanan is the target. Reckless has already got Wadid. The barrel sends Hyanan away. Winter's Bite slows him down. Rocket jump forward. Reckless gets dunked though. That's a threaded volley to the face. So far, Rocket's Baron has been interrupted and they've lost 2 members.
Such an uncoordinated fight from ROCCAT. They were all over the shop right there. They had no idea what they wanted to do. Was it focus the Baron? Was it turn for a fight? Which target did they want to go on? Fnatic, all they had to do was be patient. They just had to wait. And the moment that ROCCAT was split up, that is when they pounced. They were able to get themselves 2 swift kills. They were able to deny the Baron. And just keep your eyes on what Price Stalker is doing. He's the initiator here. Faxi is still in the pit. He is your Jarvan. He should be your frontline, and he's forced back because he has to tank up when he's expecting you guys to rush it down. This means the Price Stalker's zoned away. Hyanan and Wadid are sitting there trying to kill the backline in a 2 versus 3. Hyanan then gets left to the slaughter, and everything just falls apart because ROCCAT were just not clear with what they wanted to do in that fight.
It's just so tense. ROCCAT have all the damage in the world. They're just got to find the right target. You see a lot of it being put down. Betsy continues to have a great performance. He's got that Leandri's Torment now. 205, unkilled thus far. He was largely responsible for dropping Reckless. I think he hit nearly everything in that fight. But Reckless, of course, he's now got a Knight's Vow to back him up from Broxah, Infinity Edge and a Static Shiv. And Vedius, Baron seems to be the name of the game. Without teleports, we're going to have a good old EU dance, I feel. Top laners can't really afford to play the side lane because you run the risk of just the opponent rushing that Baron down.
Yeah, you always have to be mindful of that. The Baron becomes a very big point of contention, especially now that Tristana working her way towards that 3rd item. And while Xayah does scale pretty well, both teams grouping up in the middle lane. The 5v5 ARAM is about to begin. I feel like Fnatic at this point have a bit of an advantage.
Let's see what sort of engage can land. A lot of it is sort of dodgeable on the ROCCAT side when Fnatic engage, as in Mega Gnar needs to hop forward as well as Flash. Flash not available. Barrel can get dodged by a few abilities. But Foxy is not very tanky yet. He's only got a Chain Vest. He's got a Null Magic Mantle. And when you look at engage, that point-and-click Cataclysm, well, that could make or break if he catches Caps without Flash.
Yep. That low mobility Orianna, really, really easy target to kill. He does have the Banshee's Veil second, something that you do see occasionally from mid laners that want to be a little bit more defensive. You can block that first CC. It also gives you a bit of added magic resistance, which I think is valuable given that Betsy is level 15 right now.
Good question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think of Banshee's Veil versus Cataclysm? So I don't think it works particularly well.
I believe it mitigates the damage.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But you're still locked in the cage.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you'll survive a few seconds longer.
It's one of those things where just like I had my foot amputated, but on the bright side, I still have my other foot, right?
That was really dark. I mean, I didn't quite think of it like that scale.
Bright side, bright side.
Yeah, there's a few guys in the audience as confused as I am. As the second Mountain Drake of the game is secured. This time it goes to Fnatic. I mentioned a moment ago that Faxi wasn't as tanky, but he's just completed the Gargoyle Stone Plate. That's going to help out. And Faxi's a guy we haven't spoken a lot about this game. Was going to get bullied around just a little bit in this matchup, but has been struggling for several weeks. Has definitely been one of the underperformers on the ROCCAT squad. And now I want to see what impact he can have in a very high-stakes game with what is going to be a very pivotal engaged champion for ROCCAT when they want to fight. He needs to lead the way and bring ROCCAT with him. You can see 4 deaths per game in week 8.
That's a lot of deaths.
It is. I mean, he had 13 in one game against Fnatic a few weeks before that.
Yeah, that's very true. So he's improved on the bright side. That's
Dude, you know what? The glass is always half full with you, isn't it?
It's got to look at the positives.
So Always is going to step forward, gets caught by the quickness. All right, the rest of Fnatic are coming up. Cataclysm already used, but not on the low mobility target. Reckless remains untouched, and Soaz about to gnaw out. But he's flashed away from the fight. As Foxy flashed in.
So both top laners ended up using their flashes. Exhaust and Ignite traded between both supports. Aside from that, nothing other than a bit of a love tap from both teams. But Fnatic, they're still on the back foot. That's the crucial thing to recognize. They do scale extremely well. Their team fighting is only going to get better from this point on. And the goal difference isn't even that big between the two carries. The largest deficit comes between the junglers, and that's fine because Broxah, his whole job is to be a utility bot anyway. He wants to land that big Gragas ulti onto Betsy, onto Hjarnan, knock them into that really awkward position to allow the main carries of Fnatic to shut them down.
Yeah, I mean, that 1,800 gold difference that you just talked about, Vedius, that's pretty much the entirety of ROCCAT's lead. It's a couple hundred gold more than that, and that's spread across the rest of the carries. Damage items continue to go. Rapid Fire Cannon, now completed for Reckless as well.
And that's the spike, really, for Tristana. She's gonna hit you pretty hard. Hjarnan's still working towards the Infinity Edge, which I expect him to be finishing fairly soon. But now watch Fnatic to be the team that's looking to be a little bit more proactive around the Baron. They're the ones that are going to be more eager to try and make this fight happen, especially now that Hjarnan hasn't had an opportunity to back. And they shouldn't see him backing yet, but it's something that you always have to be careful of ROCCAT. Look at how cautious Brightstalker is, always hanging around this Baron area, even though there are no jungle camps to clear on the top side.
Teleport's available for both top laners. Baron has definitely become more of a tool for success, especially with teams with tanks. I was talking to Deficio yesterday on the analyst desk, and he's just saying how you can use Baron as your form of engage, because you have to force the reaction. And that's something that you've been talking about all game, Vedius. But now it's up to Fnatic to start baiting and to fight for vision control, because they have hit these power spike periods, and they've got some vision, so they know this is going on.
They're going to rush it. They're going to rush it. The wall is there to zone the rest of Fnatic away. They got it.
All right, Baron secured by ROCCAT. What happens in the ensuing fight, if there even is one? So always looking to escape. Foxy easily gets out the pit. And ROCCAT, they did this against UOL and ended up winning the series. Fantastic Baron call.
Absolutely exquisite. Not only do they get the TP out from Soaz, but they also walk away with the Baron completely uncontested. Like, that was the best time for them to do that, because they knew Fnatic, they wanted to back, they just sorted out all the sideways, there was a lot of gold in their pockets that they wanted to spend. ROCCAT knew Fnatic want to fight right now, so they find that tiny window where Fnatic are not really in a great position to fight, and they punish it, using the great damage from Kha'Zix, from Taliyah, and from the 3-item Xayah to just rush it down.
Multiple weeks in a row, ROCCAT have demonstrated they have had good Baron calls. There are some criticisms in their play, but this is one area that they know how to unlock. We're 30 minutes in, and ROCCAT have got Baron. Let's see if they can once again arrest map control.
Yeah, and Betsy, he needs to be so careful. Look at Reckless, look for a pick.
All right, Betsy got flash available, does flash. Reckless insta follows, gets charmed by the quickness. The shockwave comes out. Widid's able to escape. Nobody dies yet. Here comes Brightstalker. The Cataclysm down from Foxy. Reckless continues to wail away. ROCCAT now routed, running for their lives. Caps has killed Foxy, and that's 2 for Fnatic.
And this is another classic ROCCAT move where they just go for the bad fight. They just lost Betsy because he just had to use everything to survive Reckless. And the baby cage from Faxi ends up doing more harm than it does good because Pridestalker gets locked in the pit and the rest of Fnatic just wail on the bug. So many good things going in favor of Fnatic right now. Even with the Baron against them, they could very well break into the base.
ROCCAT throws the barrel sideways. Hyanin forced to ult to safety. Clears out the wave as best as he can. That will buy a few extra seconds. The explosive charge pops. That's going to do a lot of damage. Betsy down to 150. Survives a few seconds longer. Soaz gets tagged by the turret and he's forced to retreat. And ROCCAT now turning around. Remember, Foxy has teleports. 2 seconds, 1 second. Will he commit? Bottom lane is the target. And ROCCAT, let's see what they can get with this. I don't know if Fnatic will take long enough for this tower to go down. Just shoving the wave in, that was a waste.
That was a bit of a weird TP. Not sure what Faxi was trying to do right there. I guess apply a bit of pressure so that ROCCAT could get this mid-tier 1 in return. They will finally break it down 31 minutes into the game. But ROCCAT, that is definitely a rough play for you. Credit to Fnatic and credit to Reckless trying to find that pick. He came so close to getting that kill. And the way he executed it too was actually exquisite. The way he flashed, predicting what Betsy was going to do. Is this another fight?
All right, another fight, another fizzle. Not this time round. 7 kills to 9 at 31 minutes in. Fnatic still have to defend a little bit of this Baron buff. ROCCAT able to secure 1 additional tower. Now it comes down to late game team fights. Who's going to get better vision? Who's going to kill the carries quicker? Or better yet, can Fnatic protect their carries, right? Because they've got less damage sources, but a much better front line. All right, Featherstorm comes up from Hyanin, gets a 2-man route. Jesus is a target. He's forced to flash to safety. I didn't even see the engage. A great barrel from Broxa. That's 1, 2 for Reckless. Rocket jump to safety. Look at the shield, looking for another. Come on, protect board some time. Triple kill, the Quadra available. GA's gonna get popped and Podger's not gonna be secured. Reckless manages to bring it back. Caps looking to run him down. Ghost was used. And I thought that looked bad for Fnatic at the start, but they turned it around.
Fnatic, they just demonstrate their team fighting prowess. Broxa with a beautiful ultimate. Reckless waiting till just the right time to jump into the fray and turn it in their favor. This is the team fighting team that they have built for themselves, and they're executing upon it fantastically. So we can see here Hyanin extremely overextended, does not respect Soaz whatsoever. And at this point you think, oh no, this could be bad for ROCCAT. But no, they separate the rest of Fnatic off, and you think this could be well, but then another great ulti from Broxa, splitting them up. Reckless dives in, shuts down very, very quickly the low health Hyanin. And the rest of Fnatic know that with the numbers advantage that they have, they can just keep on chasing. The GA does go down. Betsy with a small victory at the end of it. But at the end of the day, it is Fnatic that come out ahead in the fight. And that was just in the last fight.
That is ridiculous amounts of damage from actually everybody, to be fair.
Yeah.
Means Reckless's GA is on cooldown. He managed to pick that one up just before the fight. And now all of a sudden, Fnatic are starting to surround ROCCAT. They're setting up vision inside ROCCAT's side of the jungle. Jungle, apparently. And Fnatic wanted to...
too much.
Fnatic now starting to take control of the game. It's weird because it feels like Fnatic have some form of control, but truthfully, they've been defending. They've been in their half of the map the majority of this game.
Yeah, but now they feel strong. So many items have been completed. There are equal in towers, except Fnatic still yet to take this bottom tier 2 down. The map feels just so close. So many strong members, and my eyes are always falling towards Betsy. This man has been consistently performing so well throughout this game. Great walls, great positioning, great skill shot usage. This guy has been having such an incredible performance against a Fnatic squad that is considered to be one of, if not the best team in Europe right now.
All right, total reset. 35 minutes in. Baron is up in a minute. The next dragon is Elder. If you could cut the air with a knife, you'd be able to do it here in Berlin because the tension is high. There are hundreds of Fnatic fans terrified their squad is about to lose. Again. To ROCCAT. We'll see whether or not ROCCAT can win the last team fight. Vedius, I have a quick update for you.
Yeah.
The previous graphic we ran was incorrect. The graphs reflected the team fight damage. However, the numbers in the header were not correct.
Okay.
Right. So, apologies on that incorrect graphic. This is the correct one. Total damage dealt this game. And you can see who's over-indexing right now. Great performance from Betsy, still unkilled. Hyanin putting the deeps down, despite being in the wrong place, sometimes. And now those damage dealers need to fend off Baron. It's about to spawn, and look at all of these wards in the pit.
The flanking wards are available for Faxi. He's not TPing yet, though.
Dude, that's being melted. Baron's already down to
Whoa!
Pride Stalker's hopped in. He's got a flash. Void Assault and flashes out. Weaver's wall comes down, and this is getting messy. The shenanigans are about. Blue team secure Nasha. Fnatic have it. The charm connects onto Soaz, and a flash goes in. Pride Stalker's looking for Reckless, but he's untouched. That's a double. The triple's available to him. Looking for more. Rocket jumps over the wall. A gigantic crit onto Hyanin's face. Gets stunned in place. Reckless not going to find his triple. Rocket jump to the reset to safety. Putting a wall between him and Betsy. Foxy forced to run away. Fnatic get Baron and 4.
Beautiful use of the jumps from Reckless to get a convincing teamfight win over ROCCAT, who just looked lost once again. We talked about how they seem so convincing when they go towards the Baron, but for the second time this game, they just had no idea on how to fight Fnatic. They lose the Baron, they lose the fight, and they may very well just lose the game.
I think that's a safe call if ever I've heard one. Reckless gonna be pushing through onto the Nexus turret to the support of Fnatic, but Broxa unkilled this game. Reckless gets himself another as Fnatic turn to the Nexus. It was a close fight, but Fnatic secure first blood in the series against ROCCAT. That was a back and forth worthy of ROCCAT versus Fnatic. It is becoming an interesting rivalry here in the EU LCS. But that man on your screen, Broxa, he ended the game 1-0-13. Game-changing ultimates and just always seem to be in the right place at the right time in team fights.
But I also feel like that was largely ROCCAT's game to lose. I felt like they had good setups. They had good options to be able to close out that game. So many Barons looked so good for them, but then the execution just did not hit the mark. When they tried to make the fights happen, they didn't go to plan. I don't know if they even have a plan based on what I saw from their fights. And I just, like, in that final fight, the fact that Faxi didn't TP in, that he walked, it just makes me wonder, what is the communication like in this team during these extremely tense moments?
I wish I could answer that question for you, Vedius, but I cannot. So, Fnatic get the win despite a great start from ROCCAT. Here's Dracos and Stress to break it down.
Sadly, Vedius, I can't answer that question either, but I want to take a look at picks and bans to start it off because we were wondering why Fnatic might opt to pick Gragas so early on, and Stress, I think we got our answer.
Right, it's very difficult to deal with when you look at denying fights, not taking bad fights is one of the other strengths. I don't think a lot of teams are going to jump back onto the Gragas first pick train, but in this situation, with the rest of the draft, you can see where it starts to make sense. You've got the Braum to deny fights, the Orianna to play a little defensively again, and Broxa looked fantastic on this Gragas. It might not be everybody's S tier, but Broxa looks like you got to ban it away from
Definitely was playing it to that S tier, at least on an individual level, even if it doesn't have that place in the meta. Now I want to look at the first replay because despite us praising Broxa, and I think it is well deserved to praise Broxa, this was an incredibly ROCCAT favored early game, and the execution here from ROCCAT I think was fantastic.
Right, it's a great setup. Look, Reckless is already chunked in the lane, and we said we wanted to see ROCCAT play around the bottom lane as well. This is what needed to happen, and yeah, okay, one kill goes to Pride Stalker, Wadid picks up the other, Hyanin doesn't get any, but it's still the right kind of start for ROCCAT, utilizing their vision and getting out of the lane for Betsy. I think the interesting thing is, I kind of said I didn't see a world where Betsy would beat Caps, and I still maintain that, but ROCCAT played out of the lane very well. They didn't keep Betsy in a lane against Caps and actually gave Betsy opportunities to thrive elsewhere on the map. And that's one of the good advantages that ROCCAT created in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it definitely was the case. I think from ROCCAT's end, it wasn't the clean snowball that maybe they wanted to see for themselves, as they were able to find a lot of those early game advantages. But the other thing that you brought up, ROCCAT, they want to win, they need to play a chaotic game. They need to fight. ROCCAT definitely capitalized on that, especially in some of those mid-game plays.
Right, and it felt almost like a little bit of the hubris we heard coming into this that Fnatic said last time ROCCAT beat us, it wasn't ROCCAT winning, it was us losing the game. And Fnatic come in here, they take away the Riftchild, great play here, and it seems like Fnatic end up going a little bit crazy on this one because, look, they go towards the top side, look for a play, and this looks very convincing, and you can see why Reckless gets a little baited in here. He gets so many autos down on Pridestalker from range that he's not actually anticipating the tower actually swapping to him. So Soaz backs away from the fight, he has to. Reckless now thinks, okay, I can get it. Doesn't realize that between Pridestalker and Hyun, and remember, Pridestalker has 3 kills at this point. Insane amount of damage on an isolated target. And from there, Soaz doesn't have an opportunity to recall. Wadid picks him off. Suddenly, Jezz is like, hey, I'm going to try and come and fix things for Soaz and Ward, and Fnatic, a little bit of hubris, getting caught out where perhaps they don't have to at this point, and that necessarily happened again and again in this match.
Yeah, and this is the point in the game where you're like, holy crap, ROCCAT are the blue shell. What is happening in front of us? But as we moved later and later to the game, that is really when we started to see the Gragas be a major factor for Broxah, and really the team fighting and coordination of Fnatic started to line up. We didn't see those same scenarios where individual members got caught out.
Right, and one of the difficulties for ROCCAT here is their primary engage is a lot more base on the Jarvan going in. On this, Hyanan gets caught out. Faxi can't even get into the fight, and you can see it looks bad at first for Fnatic, but the Gragas ult into the rest of the fight out of Broxah, Reckless is able to get so much damage off throughout this. And Faxi's only now coming into the fight, only now getting that Cataclysm off, so it's a very broken, fractured fight out from ROCCAT, and this type of thing keeps happening throughout the entire game. Wadid actually had a lot of good charms with the quickness in this. The flash in, getting 4 people. I think this is the fight where he actually gets his massive set of charms. And it's just not enough for ROCCAT, but these open games, I feel like this is the way they have to beat Fnatic, just taking fights like this.
And this is the issue, right? It's because I feel like ROCCAT had the lead. Fnatic, of course, were fantastic in these fights. We can't take that away from Fnatic, but on the side of ROCCAT, the coordination didn't always feel like it was there around this call initially. Pridestalker having to get out of the pit, having to flash away, and that didn't quite sync up in the same way. That said, I still feel like this is well above the initial expectations that we had for ROCCAT.
Yeah, you consider ROCCAT lost to NIP last week. You say, hey, is this the same team actually giving Fnatic a competitive game? And it's a good thing for ROCCAT. Look at how far, or for how much of a percentage of the game they were ahead. Like, almost all of this game, ROCCAT were in the lead up until a couple of fights at the end where Fnatic turned it back around. And that's not anticipated, but ROCCAT, as we said, this weird aura of being able to play well against the top teams. Like, if ROCCAT come out with that early game from this game against any other team, I think they actually probably convert this game into a win.
And my real question is, how do you think Fnatic feel about this game right now? Because they definitely were outclassed to a certain degree in the early game. Maybe they feel like they just lost it and threw it away, but you can't knock ROCCAT because they found those opportunities. They punished Fnatic, and you can see some... Well, he's got a smile on his face. I was going to say stern review of previous plays, but both guys appear to be pretty happy.
And I feel like Fnatic won't be too angry at that. I think that'll probably be just the reminder that, hey, we got to take these guys seriously. We actually have to just make sure that we are playing around any areas that ROCCAT have that they can punish, like those early game plays where Reckless was already low and ROCCAT created a play. I think it'll be a bit of a kick up the backside where Fnatic will say, okay, game 2, let's just try and get a lead early, let's try and close it.
But what is the faith in right now? Is it that Fnatic are going to come back, they're going to say, hey, this is a team we have to respect, or is it that ROCCAT, hey, we can snowball better if we find the lead again? Who, at this point, after that game 1 for ROCCAT, do you think there's a chance that ROCCAT can take it to that game 3?
I think there's an outside chance. My faith is in Fnatic. I think they are still likely to take it, but I'm impressed by ROCCAT. I'm impressed by the fact that they could take an early game advantage against Fnatic.
Definitely is the case. Well, Fnatic have a chance to avenge their loss to ROCCAT earlier in the split. Well, we'll be right back for game 2 right after this.